Hello and welcome to another episode of the Choose Strong podcast. I am so grateful that you decided to join us today because today we have an incredible show. We have Billy Garner and Mackenzie Jolliffe. Mackenzie, do you just go by...
Mackenzie Jolliffe. That's it. I got rid of my
Jolliffe.
maiden name.
Yeah.
So sad. It was sad.
Well, I saw that like on your Instagram and it popped up in my contacts too. I was like,
Yeah.
oh. Yeah, it's sweet though. Congratulations.
Thank you.
To everyone that has just started their run, or maybe you just started racing, I am thrilled that you decided to bring us along. We hope that you are entertained. We hope that you're inspired, that you're encouraged, and that when you finish, you are inspired to do something courageous yourself. To our youth listeners, I know you are at the end of summer. You're about to start school. Remember that we are always cheering for you. And for those of you that are just sitting on the couch recovering, you're watching us on YouTube, on Spotify. We're stoked that we get to chill with you. And I'll tell you what, today's guests, I have been very excited about the idea of this. I actually talked to Max after his win at Badwater 135. And I said, I really need to have Billy and Mackenzie on because we have so many people in the Choose Strong community that will never run an ultra, aren't interested, will never do Badwater. But we have a lot of people that crew, pace, want to do that. And so I feel like you guys are the most relatable ones in the room right now. And so welcome to the show, Billy and Mackenzie.
Peace out, ass.
Thank you, Sal.
Mackenzie, this is your third time on the show. So welcome back for the third time. I feel like our audience is familiar with you, but we have never had the pleasure of having you, Billy, on the show. Tell us where you are tuning in from. And tell us a little bit about your running, because I think people are going to be surprised. You know, you're not a 200-mile guy yet, but give us a little background on you, and then maybe you and Max's friendship.
Yeah, sure. So I guess I'm now like 3 or 4 miles down the street from Mackenzie and Max, live in Costa Mesa, California. Been running for about 7 years. I think like a year or two after Max. I think by the time he ran a marathon or two, I started kind of getting into it. Him and I just kind of approached that as friends. I think I was one of the first people to reach out to him being like, hey, I have shin splints or whatever. What do I do? And that really started building our foundational friendship. We had worked in similar industries. We both come from like that action sports background, him on the design, myself, 17 years in brand marketing. And been running for 7 years, specifically in the marathon. And, in the last 18 months, got probably pretty serious about it. 39 years old. So I'm racing Chicago and then Boston this year and, running, aiming for that kind of like 255, hoping to get down to like 245 in the next year. And so, training philosophy and being able to, I think, patty cake back and forth with Max over the last several years. It's been really fun and interesting watching him grow and him support me. And then, he's always helped me with all of like my workouts and getting faster. And I haven't ever had really the care to do what he's doing, but, I've always wanted to be there and support him. And when him and Mackenzie asked me to kind of like come out and crew, like, I don't know, whatever, 2022 or whatnot, it was the first time any of us were doing anything like that. So that was, I had no expectation. I never had the expectation to do anything within running outside of deepen like a spiritual awareness within myself. And that has quickly over the course probably of like the last 2 years, now bringing me in a sense of a little bit of income and, brand partnerships and this whole thing that was not on my bingo card. So yeah, I'm really concentrated on the marathon right now and kind of want to go as deep as I can within that. And then at some point jump over to probably some flatter trail stuff in the coming years. So that's where I think we're at right now.
Billy, how did you and Max become friends? When did you guys meet?
Yeah, so we got tattooed by the same person.
Oh God,
Yeah,
dude.
like you have the you have the you grow up and live some sort of lifestyle, whether it's a broken home or whatnot, and you easily find yourself in music and skateboarding and these activities that are counterculture that you can completely dive into with so that you don't have to deal with the realities of what's going on. And I think a lot of people find themselves getting tattooed, and through that meeting a lot of common folk. And yeah, so we had a friend both tattoo us, so we knew of each other. And then my office was right down the street from Nike and Hurley at the time, and so I was yeah, I'd always known who he was, and he always knew of me. But it wasn't until, I mean, he literally was the only person I knew outside of my little brother, who's ran for probably 15 years, that ran. And so when I started running blindly, and kind of started getting that initial pain, I messaged him on Instagram. I was probably the first fan he had,
You
and
slid into his
yeah,
DMs?
and go, hey, like, this is happening. Like, has this happened to you? Because I didn't know what to do, and I just knew I wanted to keep running. And so, um, he helped me with some like initial exercises and whatnot, and then invited me to run with him. But I probably didn't take him up on that for like a year because I was so intimidated by him and our friend JP. They were like, I think training for like CIM or something, and going for like whatever, a 2:45, like, and I'm sitting here trying to like, I maybe can go out and run a 4-hour marathon, and I was so scared to like run with anybody that finally one day I was like, okay, like I'll go and run with you guys. And then it just instantly, even at their wedding, I had like a little bit about Max is the type of person that like, even whatever you're into, he makes it his thing too. Like, once he found out I was
Yeah.
interested in the marathon, he was like, "Oh, dude, you're doing you're running the full, like you're doing and so it just quick. I feel like we started doing that, and then 6 months later, like he was building me out a marathon plan to run at the OC marathon, and then it just became every day, and then it feels weird that was like 6 years ago. And then it's like comes Mackenzie and then it just feels like we've been doing this every single day. And now it's just like, we still do that every day and run together, but it's like, I don't know. I think it's like a lot more simple than everybody expects our relationship to be. It's like, we go run, we get dinner together, and like just repeat the thing multiple times a week. And we're still doing it.
Yeah, I think the handful of time I've been able to be around the three of you guys all together, and sometimes Andrew's there too, of
Yeah.
course. And Andrew is Billy's little brother. I feel like you guys are family. Like you treat each other
We are.
like family, and you can tell, like what you had just said. All of you are so invested in each other.
Yeah.
And if anyone follows you guys on social media, like Mackenzie, Billy, Max, like you guys are always lifting each other up. You're always supporting each other. Whatever it is that you guys are doing, you're pushing that out and saying, look at what, my friend's doing, what my wife is doing. I really admire the relationship that all you guys have with each other, because it's like, that's like the kind of family people want,
Yeah.
And you're all doing exciting stuff and you're all growing. And so, Billy, I'm like internally taking notes for when I have you back on the show for yourself, because we're definitely going to tell your story. But I want to kind of pivot now that our audience has like this background. You guys have been friends for a while. Obviously, Mackenzie, now is his wife, like brand new wife. But you guys have been together for a really long time. But you guys have all been intertwined for a while, and one of the things that we've recently seen with Badwater 135 is people got a little bit more exposure to it this year. And it's been really hard because of where Badwater takes place. It is hard to cover it from
Totally.
from the very beginning to the end. It just is.
The discourse online
is so
it's so wild.
you have to turn it off. I mean, because
So,
every
I get
year it's wild.
Max has so many fans and so many people
Yeah.
want to watch and support these athletes that they love running these races.
Yes.
This race is so hot. It's so isolated.
Yes.
Everyone's in a vehicle. There are no cruise stations.
Yeah.
What
You're on the moon.
electronics? What electronics are going to sit in the heat for 40 hours and
Yeah.
still work? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was just
It's
a lot.
it
It's
is
an
a
epic
lot.
race.
And people are like, why don't you have Starlink? It's like, dude, there's people driving in their cars with Starlink. Like, there's still so
I have
many
Starlink,
variables.
but I'm not
Yeah.
going to lie. I'm doing more important things than a live feed.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
But I'm just saying from the even from the racing, from the
Yeah.
race, like headquarters and the race media, like
It's
they
in a
really,
vehicle.
yeah. But
it's so crazy.
But what I think is cool is that between the three of you guys actually exposed this race on a whole other level. And I think this is why
Yeah.
the film, which I'm not, please do not ask when is the film coming out, people, because the good films
I
take
don't
a
know.
while to edit.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, I'm
I
not
don't
talking
know.
to you,
Don't
to our listeners, because even Max is saying he's like driving home from the race, and people are like, "When's the film going to be out?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, the editing on a great film." And I think that this Badwater film will end up being probably one of the best ones that's ever been put out there, because
sure.
you guys you gave up 2 of your crew spots, which you now learn is very hard to do,
Yeah.
in order to have camera guys be up and close to the entire race, which I think is going to make this film incredible. So I'm really, really
Yeah.
excited about it, whether it comes out at the end of this year or the beginning of next year. You guys are definitely going to be, the stars of that. Obviously, Max will be the focus, but I think that people are going to understand more than ever how much this is a team sport, not only just Badwater, but just across the board. In Badwater, you would die if you tried doing that by yourself. Like, you just wouldn't make it to the end. And I think bringing you guys on the show, I really wanted to kind of paint this picture, one, of your relationship with Max, but 2, to also encourage people that are listening, like, you guys had no experience out there. You hadn't been out there for the race before. The race director, is always pretty, like, adamant about you need to have crewed before. Someone needs to have, like, medical experience or first aid experience.
Yeah, that freaked me out when I saw that. I was like, oh, none of us are. I know
I
CPR.
know. Yeah. I mean,
But,
you're
like,
a
what's that
trainer.
gonna do?
Yeah. I know. So I think, like, this is going to be a really cool, as we dive in right now, just to kind of help people understand, like, the importance at the end of the day as a crew. One of the most important things is actually knowing your runner.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that is actually what saved minutes and seconds, because when you want to set a record like he did, it is every second is accounted for. Every single
Right.
second. I talk a lot about optimizing your health, and the single biggest lever is sleep. Temperature is a huge part of getting it right, which is why I want to tell you about Orion Sleep. Orion Sleep is a personalized cooling sleep system, a smart cover that fits over any mattress and keeps your bed at your perfect temperature all night long. Better sleep is the foundation of everything: energy, focus, mood, recovery. Overheating and night sweats are among the biggest causes of disrupted sleep. Couples fight over the thermostat, and separate temperature zones for each side of the bed solve it. This is an effortless upgrade to the single most important thing you do every day: sleep. Right now, Orion Sleep is offering our listeners up to $400 off at orionsleep.com/Sally. That's Orion Sleep, ORION sleep.com/Sally for up to $400 off. Look, magnesium is something most of us lack, and if you're taking the drugstore variant, you're still not getting the full picture. And industrial farming, chronic stress, and everyday aging all make it worse. Almost every supplement uses one form of magnesium, but magnesium comes in many forms. and each form helps your health in a different way. That's exactly why you need to try Qualia Magnesium Plus. Most people know that magnesium is critical for sleep, but some forms help muscle recovery, brain function, heart health, bone health, mood, and over 300 functions in the body. That's why Qualia Magnesium Plus is the only product to combine 10 bioavailable forms of magnesium with more than 70 trace minerals that help fuel magnesium support. It's full spectrum magnesium to deliver magnesium's full potential. Qualia Magnesium Plus has helped me with better energy, deeper sleep, and a steadier mood and stress response. It's one of the most important supplements in my lineup. Experience the most trusted magnesium for purity, potency, and performance. Plus, it's non-GMO, vegan, and gluten-free, making it a choice you can feel good about. Go to qualialife.com/Sally for 50% off. And here's a bonus. Use the code SALLY for an additional 15% off your order. That's QUALIA life.com/Sally and use code SALLY. Thanks to Qualia for sponsoring this episode. So yeah, let's just go ahead and dive in. Mackenzie, I'm going to start off with you. When did you guys know, okay, we are doing Badwater, and then what did preparation look like? When did Max come to you guys and say hey, can you guys crew me for this?
He won AC, so that got him a ticket into Badwater. And then I remember a month or two after, he was like, "Oh, I get to run Badwater." And I was like, "Oh, joy." Sick. It's obviously really cool, but I was like, this is it. That race has always been in my head as that's so scary to think about. And I was scared up until the second it started. Until you were there knowing how this is going to go, it's very daunting just because of the sheer rules that you get sent and the meetings and the videos and where it is and the heat and all of those things to me were very daunting. So in my eyes, Billy was the best possible person to be there because he knows Max and he's so logical with the fuel and the water and everything's down to the science, where I really thrive in the nurturing side and helping and making sure this is where it needs to be, or driving. That side is where I'm very good, which is kind of the role of being a woman. Sorry if people don't agree with that, but that's kind of my role. And Billy was really brought in for the logistics of fuel, water, timing, pace, all of that alongside with his coach. So we were there to help him execute that plan, right? So we're told beforehand, here's how it's going to go. Here's what I want to accomplish, all of those things. Now, I knew it would be hard, but it was really exhausting. And just overall, way, way more tiring than I thought it would be, just the sheer amount of stopping. And so prepping for that, I always say this, you can prep as much as you want, but until you're there and doing it, you really don't know what you need or what to do until it's happening. You have all the things you need, but it's kind of it's game time decisions. It's one step at a time, 1 mile at a time, that you're okay, what do we need next? How do we adjust? Do we need to tell them to slow down? Do we need to speed up? But I mean, a lot of that prep, Max is very good at handling gear and all of that. So we had the big coolers ready. We had we had a Yeti cooler that could fit a body.
It was huge. Yeah.
And it was full of ice. The bottles were frozen beforehand. We had gallons of water. We had an ice bucket. We went in with a plan, knowing how quick he wanted to move. So that was something that he really went over. Billy and him practice of, here's how you're going to squeeze me off. It was a whole thing. But yeah,
Mackenzie,
that prep, I mean, it's just a lot.
Yeah. Did you guys start, and Billy, you can answer in on this too. Did you guys start planning at the beginning of the year, or were you guys not really pulled into conversation what needed to happen until a month before?
It's usually a month or two before. we kind of discuss bits here and there of like his plan or like, oh, we're going to get this cooler or do that and all of those things. But you can really only plan until you're like right in the race a month or two before.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I think when Max obviously left Cocodona, there was obviously a big change, I think, in his head in terms of like the things that he needed to do as an athlete to dial in his, I think, training, help on philosophy, like all of those things. And I think once he brought Jack on and I started seeing the switch of his training, you were able to start taking kind of that's where I was starting to take like mental note of like his overall approach to how he's trying to run the race, which I know he was on here and kind of described that more of like that CCC build where Badwater, I feel like, is such an interesting race because similar to like a marathon or any other road race, it's like the conditions are kind of the same. If you stay on top of your, nutrition, hydration, really it's like the topical cooling piece. And so in that way, you can get pretty analytical in pacing, which Max's coach like kind of dubs as like almost like the next breakthrough of running. So for us, it was like watching Max go through the hard yards of his like how much vert training he was doing, how much heat training, and all of that exposure. For me, it was like, I should probably start like getting in the sauna. That's how I preparing, and then really starting to understand, like Mackenzie was saying, like what I'm really interested in running is training, nutrition, hydration, diet. Like I love the calculation and analytical part of running, and that allowed us to kind of get our bearings in terms of like how Max is going to look at pushing in this race and where his strong suit is going to lie. And we knew that that would be in like the climbs and whatnot. So for me, it was like mentally preparing was like the biggest thing of, we know that Max is such a deep competitor that the hardest thing that he's going to have a hard time with is not going out and leading this race, like
Right.
off the cuff. And I think once Mackenzie and I are in the situation room or the van, it's like you just completely, and we've learned this, I think, through all of the 200 stuff, is like, you just got to release into the fact that you're not
Mhm.
sleeping. Everything about yourself goes out the window. And it becomes almost like just this response. For me, at least, it's like, dude, I cracked a couple monsters. They sent me a bunch of product, and it was like automatic, and just following, I think, the strategy from his coach, the work.
Which is hard for us too.
Yeah,
We're sitting there like there's 15 people ahead of him, and we both know, like you said, how competitive he is, what the plan is, that he wants to win. So it's very easy for us to look at each other and be like, what literally, pardon my French, but like, what's
Yeah.
going on here? There are so many people ahead of him. Is this the right thing? And like, we're like, just stick to the plan. Like, we all had to put trust into Jack's plan and what Max knew he was capable of executing. And like, Billy and I, the whole time, were like, oh, that's what we stick to.
yeah,
And we did just that.
yeah,
Well, let's dive into that because I mean, I saw we all saw each other like right when you guys came out. To our listeners, I smashed my phone. I got there a day before Max did. I
yeah,
smashed my phone in the street as soon as I arrived in Lone Pine. Like it just dropped, and it was just and the cover wasn't on it, like the case wasn't on it for whatever reason. It was overheating in my car as I was driving out there, so that was probably why I had the case off. But then I got out of the car, dropped it straight on, and so. Max and Billy and Mackenzie brought me a new phone. So I saw you guys.
So stressful.
It was so stressful.
I can't imagine going through that.
So then, so I saw you guys as soon as, we were all in Lone Pine together. And you guys were so dialed in. I was very impressed by that. You guys showed me how big your cooler was. You had an awesome car, Mackenzie, little car deal. And then I kind of feel like from that point on, after we saw each other, like I didn't see you guys again
We
until
rode
we had
fast.
like the meeting.
We
Yeah.
hopped.
Yeah, or I guess the pre-race meeting.
Yeah.
But I am curious, like, before you guys started that race, what were you guys feeling as crew? Because this is a different race from any other ultra. Like, you kind of feel like this underlining like pressure and seriousness just across the board from all from all runners. But how is it with you guys? Like, what were some things that you guys were doing with Max to keep him calm or practicing? Like, what was it like being on the crew?
We all ran that morning, I could tell you that much.
All
We
you
were
guys did?
outside.
Yeah.
Me and Billy did, yeah.
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 I mean, look, after Max went through that training block, which I know you guys discussed in detail, it was, again, like after the Cocodona thing and then knowing that he was going to win this race, I knew that it was probably like a 95% probability that he's going to win this race. Just
Mhm.
like he's going to do everything he can to. And, you know, the leading up to that, you know, that's the great thing that's like what makes good runners great is like you can take someone who's talented and willing to train, but when you stack that with also being coachable, like I think the ceiling is really
Mhm.
limitless on a person that's being, you know, taught or whatnot. And so watching him go through that training block with such like vigilance really I think gave us the confidence of like just show like we just got to show up
Mm.
and go. And I think the obvious thing is like the heat is so smack you in the face, especially with that wind, like immediately 118. It's 8:30 in the evening and okay, this thing's going to go. Well,
Mhm.
I don't think we accounted for, or what I didn't think at least is I didn't think the top 10 were gonna, I think they went through a half marathon at like a 6:56 pace.
Yep.
And I'm just like, wait,
It was
is there
I
something
looked at him, I was like, it's been an hour and 40 minutes, and they've already ran 13 miles. I was like, "That seems
Yeah, and it's
fast."
so hot and windy.
that and
Yep.
that was the thing that I was like, "Oh, like is there something that we didn't like is there going to be such a big gap built here?" And like that was probably the most
Yeah,
anxiety was
that was the worried part. We both
Mhm.
were like, there's 15 people ahead of him."
Yeah.
yeah. So I think that was the biggest probably the biggest point of anxiety outside of like, hey, we know this and we're a little bit unsure, but we also have to keep him to this prescribed gap pace.
Mhm.
And we were just like, all right, once we got to like that, you know, 40-mile mark, I think we started to see, okay, there's a settling in period happening here. And then we got to that first climb, it was like, okay, this is starting to actually make sense. But
Mhm.
I mean, those first like, you know, 4 hours were kind of just like, man, he's like really back there.
We all also know being people that have not that I've ran an ultra, but I've ran a marathon and a half marathon, like, you have to run your own race, and it's so easy to get caught up in that very quick beginning, and Billy knows that, I know that, and so that's something that we were keeping in mind, and I remember Max saying, like, "There's so many people in front of me," and I'm like, "Just run your own race, like, you came in here with a plan, like, run your own race." We all know what it's like when you go out at the pace you're supposed to go at, and then mile 10 of your half marathon, you're passing all of the people that went out way too fast, so
Yeah.
Mhm.
that's kind of where I was like, okay, we have to trust that that will also happen in such a long race because you also don't know, like Billy said, what if the gap gets so big? And the gap was very big, like
Well,
at one point. So we
yeah.
were like, what is going on?
Let's dive into the beginning then, because I feel like, yeah, let's go ahead and just dive straight into the race. I think Max said on the podcast, I said, are Billy and Mackenzie, what was it about them that made them great crew? And Mackenzie, you kind of said it in the beginning, like Billy's really good with the logistical stuff, keeping on
Mhm.
top of nutrition, like very focused on, you know, every stat, pace, all that. And then he said that you're more intuitive, like, you just, like, know what to do, like,
I
and
can
it
read him
was
really well.
yeah, but then at the same time, both of you guys are so encouraging, like,
Yeah.
so I thought that was really cool. So, let's just go ahead and go into the start. The race for you guys for the elite field, it starts at 10 p.m. So the sun is down. You have genuine, real desert wind, which it could be like 30-mile-per-hour gusts. It comes at you from every single side, and it's still very, very hot. What was that like for you guys rolling up for the first time to the start line of Badwater 135? What were you guys feeling?
It was so smelly. It was so smelly. The bathrooms and, like,
Bathrooms
just
are
there were some
insane.
people there that were smelly, and everything just gets trapped in the wafting of the heat. I was like, it's hot." I sat in the car until the moment he started. I was like, "I'm not interested in being out here any longer than I need to be."
Billy, what about
Like,
you?
what's
I
Yeah,
mean,
no.
I just like kind of got out of the car and was like, I like count. I'm like, what are we,
What are we doing? Literally.
And I'm like, because the initial like 118 is, I mean, everyone's been into Arizona and get that, and I think catch the breeze, but there's something when you're like at the bottom of a valley, and even at even Western states, like those deep pockets, they just like ruminate a like staleness to it. So you're kind of like, hey, is this like the beginning, like the easiest part? Or is it going to get even hotter than this? And so you're kind of just like unsure of like where you're going to land in terms of like how much worse is this going to be. Um, and that was like the first thing that I was thinking of is like, man, if this is 118, what's it going to feel like once the daylight comes? So I'm going away in a body bag because I had like a workout in five, I got to be like running too, and I'm like, what if one of Mackenzie and I think we've talked about that too. I'm like, what happens if like the crew goes down? Like who's
Yeah.
coming?
Which historically, that is who's usually
What
rescued at
happens?
Badwater. Yeah,
So
it's
that when they
always
said that
crew.
in the pre-race
Yeah.
meeting, I was like, "I should have been in the sauna more." Like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna be the reason. This is gonna be a nightmare." Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
The
think
Yeah.
what
rule
people realize about the race is that you're going through so many different like government land, like state, federal, like, and so the ownership, what people don't understand from a permitting process, and it's just like it changes hands. And so there's really no one out there to help you necessarily. And like the race, they have basically their people in cars that are driving four
back and
hours
forth.
to make and kind of checking in on you. So, you know, there is a degree of safety that is like, hey, if you really don't go and get ice and water or like aren't prepared and just roll in, like you could catch yourself in a bad position for sure. And I'm sure that's happened. But
Yeah, after being I remember being extremely overwhelmed by the rules and, like, reading over them and, like, the 60 million emails that we got, but, hindsight's 2020. Now I look back and, like, after being there and while being there, I'm like, "I get it." Like, we are on a main highway that is not closed, like, there's still public it's still public transit, there's people coming in and out. We have to be in these safety vests. Also, you're driving and you see lights from crews, you see lights from runners, you see lights from
yeah,
vehicles, from vests, from every freaking direction at night, there's lights on you. So it really makes sense why they do that, and I understand and I completely agree with it, to be honest with you. There's also a lot of foreigners who run this race who don't necessarily have the same laws and rules on the road as we do here in the United States. So, for them, it needs to be repeated a million times because they're not used to the highway rules that we have necessarily. So I get it. It's very intense, but once we were in it, it came naturally because it was just the safe thing to do. But, yeah, if you're overwhelmed, it makes sense why they do it.
Yeah,
For
and you're
sure.
right. I think of any race I've ever done in my career that you get the most emails, the most instruction. It's incredibly strict. They're very hard on crew. I mean, crew
Mhm.
can end up adding 15 minutes to their runner's time,
Or
if they if
disqualifying them,
or
yeah.
disqualifying them if they do something wrong. So yes, they do take all those seriously. So when the race started, Max took off. It was your plan to see him after 3 miles, right? Was
Mhm.
it at mile 3?
Yeah.
Um, you guys, because you were the 3rd wave, and every wave has roughly like 30, 33 people in it. The getting out of the parking lot, making your way down those 3 miles, that's probably one of the most stressful driving parts, in the
Mhm.
race, one of the top ones, because you're thinking in your back of your mind, you don't wanna miss your runner. You also hope that you can see them in the dark because you have, like, everyone is lit up like a Christmas tree. What was that like for you guys once you started? How long did it take you to kinda get into a rhythm after that?
I think like,
Couple.
yeah, a couple. I mean, all of these races, I think it's a bit of a yard sale. Your first, whether it's like the first 40 miles or the first 3 miles, like you need to catch a rhythm. And I think every crew catches a rhythm. And I think that's one of the good things about, having the consistency in your crew. I know a lot of people like can't have that, but it's one thing that I think has worked really well as a team for us is like, you know, we've been able to do this 4 or 5 times. And so, you can kind of click into that a little bit faster, but it's definitely like the first couple hours are always a bit of a yard sale, I would say, and before you go, okay, we got to settle in. Okay, he's good here. He's good here. And then it's like, it starts to flow. I will say, like, some of the other races and, the Cocodonas or the Moabs or what have you. I mean, there's a lot of other elements out there that are pretty gnarly as well, because you haven't seen him for so often. So
Yeah.
it's nice that like we were going every 3 miles, and then his hydration nutrition was such an easy thing because it was just like one new bottle. So once he got settled, we got settled. I feel like.
Right. That's what I was just gonna say. We have to settle in just as much as the runner does, and that's in any race that he does, right? Like, it takes him a second to kinda get his groove, especially when it's like I crewed him at AC, and it was really just me, and I had a friend come along because she wanted to see how it went, but I mean, his aid station stops were under 90 seconds, and they were a little bit longer because, you see him less in a race like that, but it's one of those things that it took me a second to, like, get into it, but in the longer ones, I say we as a team have more time to kind of get ourselves together, where this race was like, me and Billy were instantly, like, on it, and after the first few, I was like, like,
Yeah.
this is
Well,
gonna be a long 24 hours.
'cause
Long.
we're down 2 people, and so
Right.
Yeah.
It's just
the
us.
strat-
There's no sleep.
the strategy is like, most people are operating with four, and so that's
Mhm.
for sleep, to help some people sleep, and so operating with two, we just went in there being like, we're both going to try to cross the street each time if there's not a filmer who wants to go over there. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And then it was always like really important for like initially, like, Mackenzie, you can talk to it. You talk to him and do the like thing. And then I'm going to get his like must haves. And I'm not checking in on him. I'm not doing anything outside of, are you eating? Are you drinking? Great. Here's what you need. This is the pace you need to be at. And then let Mackenzie do her, I don't want to say coddling, but like the,
Nurturing. It's nurturing. It's like a different. Well, it's like it's the exact time when he's like, "There's people ahead of me," and I'm like, "You're running your own race. Like, you have a plan." Like, that's that, and I don't know if that comes from being a trainer or a woman or what it is, but, like, there's just it's a different vibe. It's a different vibe when it's a woman there and it's your wife and it's someone that knows you. I could read him pretty well, so it's nice that we have both sides of that. But yeah, that race is exhausting, and I was actually the hardest part for me was finding him in the beginning. And
Mhm.
then I started to realize, oh, the Death Valley Satisfy vest had reflective, and then I would look for that, but it took me a second to, like,
Yeah.
recognize him. That was freaking me out more than anything. I'm like, I'm gonna admit, one time he ran up and we were like, "Shh." We weren't even ready.
That does happen
So
fast. It's like it's so
yeah, so fast.
it is so overwhelming in terms of, like, you're not used to just because you're always looking backwards, so
Yeah.
you're always looking into light, into headlights, into blinking this, and then you're
Mhm.
trying to get everything out, and then you don't see the runner until probably 30 feet in front of you, and you can typically know by the cadence or of the steps that he's
Mhm.
taking, right?
Yeah.
Um, and that's how we would see him pretty much
Yeah,
on
it's
that bump.
crazy.
And then we would take note of the people that are in front of him, and we're like, "Oh, he might did he pass someone? Did he not pass someone?" But it is just so I think that's what, like, exhausts people from the go is that first night is so tiring from being overstimulating for people that the second sun comes up, then you're kinda just, like, buried from that, you know?
Totally. Yeah,
I
for
fell
sure.
asleep for 16 minutes.
Was it
I could
amazing?
not well, I was also driving, so driving is like a whole 'nother set
Yeah,
of, like, concentration, and I could not keep my eye like, for the life of me, I was, like, praying to God I could stay I was, like, out like a light for 50 so I missed, like, a water drop or 2 because I was, like, seriously couldn't do it, and I was
yeah,
drinking cold brew, I just yeah, so I kudos to anyone who can fully stay awake, but it was, you know, obviously when the sun rises, your circadian rhythm resets, but it was insane.
totally. The heat definitely exhausts you and your whole system
Mhm.
more, so it makes you more tired.
Right.
Yes, this is why most people having a minimum of 3 crew is ideal so that someone can always, if they need to, rest. And the other thing, you guys were I mean, you're a crew that was moving the fastest in history. So I think that's where I kinda wanna hang right now is that can make it really tiring because you genuinely had no time to rest. There's other crews where, like, they'll go ahead 2 miles and they actually are waiting 30, sometimes 45 minutes for their runner to
Yeah.
get those 2 miles depending on where they are, how they're
We
feeling.
maybe had
You
10 minutes.
you maybe had 10 minutes because
Yeah.
it was drive and then prep and then cross the street and, "Oh my gosh, here he is," over and over and over again. So, Billy, what was it like, what were you doing every time that you saw Max, like, that once you were in a groove, when like, tell us what it is that you were doing.
Yeah, so we went out and kind of practiced.
Oh,
We
you
understand
did? At, like, a mock session.
totally, and I think Chris, in all of the information he gives out, in his pre-race video conference meeting, he points out like, hey, if you stop for 1 minute, across 75 times in the entire race, well, that's 75 minutes that you're losing. And so
Mhm.
I think that was like a big thing for Max is
Max. Yeah.
we can, his aerobic base is so good that he can keep the engine going, but we would have to work with him in that. And so we had a two, party system where we would essentially like the first pass would greet him, switch out his bottles, switch out his nutrition, and then the second pass would go with topical cooling. And so what that created was like some fluidity because one person's going to have, he drops a bunch of stuff. I keep going with him for a second. He meets up with Mackenzie, topical cools, and then he's allowed to keep going and just keep everything moving. And I think that is instead of like everybody else was like they stopped the car and like had a bite to eat and like it was just very fluid in that way, but it meant Mackenzie and I are going to be like on our feet actually moving, so everything required both of us to be running 30 to 50 yards of this
Mm.
section, with whatever the means of the rules would be, like we're running I don't even know how much we ran, but we're running.
Mm. Yeah, did either of you guys ever pace, like, for miles?
No.
Or
No.
No.
because I know he had said at one point, I mean, it was a while back, like, months and months back, he's like, "I don't think I'm gonna use a pacer."
Yeah.
And I thought there's really good strategy in that because then your crew is a lot more effective.
Yeah.
He's also just kind of someone I hate to call it a shorter distance, but like the 100-mile distance, 50-mile distance, like he's he's someone that is so competitive and so into his sport and into his race that like he needs to kind of run it by himself. It was like that moment in Moab where I was like, you have to go and do this by yourself. Like I think sometimes, like, that's him running his race, and 200s, you're spending days running, so it's a totally different
Totally.
thing. So pacing for that for him usually really isn't on the radar. I don't know if he starts to, race faster or really, really push it where he'll want someone to actually keep pace in
Yeah.
terms of like,
Yep.
"Hey, we're staying at a 8:30 and I'm here to keep you at that." But
Mhm.
he's so good at doing it and has kind of like gotten into the groove to where that's not necessary right now.
And I think there's a little bit of a I think the purpose of the pacer on these, it's interesting because it's always a follow. You can't go in front, right? So there's not really the guiding aspect as much as like I think there is like the tactical support need of like being there when everyone's out there. And since I think we got that so dialed, he definitely didn't really need that. And especially like he is so used to running alone at the 100-mile distance that I don't think we're gonna do it, like
Yeah. I
like
mean, he saw us every mile and a half, 2 miles,
Mhm.
3 miles max. Like,
Mhm.
we were seeing him so often that he wasn't I felt like we were pacing him at one point because 'cause we're
Yeah.
just there.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
totally.
and at one point when we got to the end of when you hit the 395, I looked at him and I said, "You need to run 4 miles by yourself. We are not stopping for
Yeah.
4 miles. We need to go get a freaking sandwich and a water and ice, and you have to manage, so take whatever the hell you need to carry and prepare yourself because we don't wanna see you for 4 miles." I was,
Yeah,
like,
I'm
so
not nurturing
overstopping.
you anymore, buddy.
Well, we were I that strip of the race, I was, like, ready to blow my brains out. It was like,
Yeah.
oh my god, it was insane,
Yeah, yeah,
insane.
it is.
Like,
Did Go ahead,
do you
Billy.
find that even I feel like when you're deep in the trenches and that's a race you'd probably go so deep in the trenches
Mhm.
for, like, everybody who's racing, it's like, I wouldn't want anyone to even talk to me, look at me, guide me, and I don't know I mean, are you like, for you, did you have someone pace out there, or were you just by yourself? And like, are you looking for that like motivation? Because I just felt like watching everybody out there, even the leaders and the people we're passing, everyone's like, "Oh man, like we're really
Zombies.
thrilled." Yeah, like I don't even know the value of what the pacer is doing outside of like the tactical handing of things. But
Right.
maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think that you guys kinda touched on it already, but what needs to be done before you even line up at the start line is really lay out what each crew person is doing, and if they are pacing, to your point, Mackenzie, then is it solely to say, "Hey, you better keep this pace with me?" Or do
Right,
you want someone pacing you because they can distract you from how much pain you're in and discomfort or
right.
how far you have to go? I think that, and for those of you listening, this is something that can carry over onto trails, on into the mountains. Like, know why you're asking these people to crew for you.
Yeah.
Really understand when someone just is like, in your mind, you're thinking like, "Oh my gosh, it's so cool they offered to pace me." Do you want that person pacing you? Like, is their personality gonna match you? Are they gonna be really talkative or too talkative? Are they gonna talk so much that you kinda lose touch at the race, where you're just, like, out there chatting as if it's a Saturday long run? Like, I think really laying out in a very definitive way the reasons why the person is crewing what they're supposed to do, and if they do come out to pace. But I agree with you, Billy. I think sometimes runners can they can kinda lose touch with that, especially the more uncomfortable and tired that they get. That's a pacer will be sent out there and they're like, "I'm here to keep you awake." And it's like, "Well, really want you to, like, push me. I don't even
Yeah.
know how to communicate that because 'cause I'm so uncomfortable."
Well, Max has touched on this too. Sometimes you can put blame or like you find someone that's
Yep.
like gonna give you like gonna baby you when you're feeling a certain way. And that's also why he's been so strategic, or we all have been, when it comes to the multi-day races of who's doing what section. Like
Yeah.
we know each runner, like you said, they have a specific reason why they're there and what they're good at. And so that's the person who's with him for that part. But
Yeah.
sometimes like it's better for the runner to just be by
To
themselves.
be by themselves, yeah. The second time I ran Western States, I mean, I had Colin and David were my crew and pacers for, like, 10 years, and
Mhm.
by the time I ran to Western States the second time, I remember, like, actually defining both of them as pacers for me, and what I realized was they couldn't be more opposite in
Yeah.
personality. Colin is like, I don't care if you're vomiting, you will be running and vomiting, and I literally did that to stay in the top 10. I was throwing up, redlining running the last 12 miles of the race, and
Too.
but for him, he's like, "That's what you." He would
You
keep on
need
saying,
it.
he's like, "I know what you want. Like, I've trained with you, like, this
Right.
whole year. Like, I know how much this means to you." And he was right. I mean, he's like a big brother to me, but it was like, I so appreciated that about Colin. Like, that's what I needed. Whereas, like, Dave, way more nurturing, way more emotional and sweet and kind and, like, the encouraging words, and, like, when I came out of the aid station limping, he was just, like, very soft and then slowly started to push me more and more and then handed me off to Colin, who just whipped me. But I feel like that when you have pacers, like, those things need to be defined and you need to understand that, and then also you can be like, "You are not pacing me this section." Like, you have to be okay to communicate that. So it sounds like all 3 of you have kind of all said the same thing. Max has said the same thing about both you. You guys have kind of said this, like, you're very aware of what your roles are, and I think this is a really powerful part of his success was the team working like such a well-oiled machine is very, very powerful. So,
I'm
um,
also really happy that
yeah.
he has a coach, and I think that it was time for that. I think as he starts to progress as a runner and, start to win more races and get into that elite level and like really start to prove himself, you know, as we're here for crew members and like doing our best to talk him through these races and like do what we can, like I don't know what it's like to run 100 miles, 200 plus miles. Like I know him as a runner and I know him as a competitor, but like it's nice that we were able to kind of ping off of Jack too during this race, who like really knew the capacity that he could perform at, and also had, like, really done his research on prior racing. And, like, Max, I know got into this with you, but that part is so crucial as he starts to progress. So we kind of now get to just keep our positions and fill in the gaps of, like, being crew and nurturing and now helping him nail that down, and that's, really helpful to help him perform. Because it's easy to look at these guys who are winning Western States and UTMB and their crews and their coaches and like how serious it all is. And I'm like, me, I'm crewing this race. Like it's an interesting like thing to be a part of. So it's nice that there's a coach and a brain that like knows the aspect of what it takes to run these races, because we can only do so much. So it's nice to kind of, it was almost like the final piece to the puzzle in terms of like, now I feel like we get to kind of take a step up, which is exactly what he did during Badwater. Like he truly executed his plan and we helped him get there, and it was, it clearly paid off.
Mhm. Billy, what were some of the things that I know that, you're more dialed in on, like, all the details, the nutrition and all that. What did that look like for you? Would you literally go back to the car with, like, a clipboard? Were you, like, writing down, like, calories, carbs, gels? Like,
Yeah.
what were you doing?
Yeah, so I again, like even professionally, like everything is always been, having a marketing background and events and all of that kind of planning, like logistical planning is very important to me just in my brain and how it works now. And so I started doing this at Cocodona, but I started basically messing around with AI, and I'm basically building a landing page that brings in, like at Cocodona, I had like temperature against his sweat rate, against altitude, against
Yeah.
his carb intake to automatically like produce where he needs to be when. So I probably go a little bit more serious about it. I know when I busted out the laptop at Cocodona, it was pretty funny but I think, bringing that mentality, to this race was obviously very, very important because, like I said before, it's like the conditions are pretty much going to be the conditions. The the variables are going to be so much within nutrition, hydration, and topical cooling here. So it's really important as you work with daylight, with the different climbs, with the flats, with the downhills, right? Like that you're adjusting appropriately. So if you're, pounding downhills, you have to kind of take that David Roach approach to like, you're going to have to up your fueling a little bit there, and so all of those things I think need to be tracked. And so I built those into a table against what Jack produced on pacing to create basically a little bit of a page so I could understand his nutrition and hydration better. It's tough because when you start getting to, 80 miles and your stomach's not working or whatnot, you do have to plan. So I knew that Max's sweat rate, there's basically within dehydration, you have some give. So if he's sloshing in his stomach, like I did know the threshold of what he could probably cut to keep performance going. And we had to do that with when he,
Mhm.
at the beginning of the race, I think he was taking in too much fluid. So we cut his fluids by about half
Oh,
until
wow.
that settled. And then he had some eating problems and the same thing there. That diminished
It was
about,
too much.
or yeah, it was too much. And
Mhm.
it wasn't too much. It was too much of the feel. It
With
wasn't
that
too much of
heat.
the theory, but yeah, I think
It's the heat.
the actual real feel changes things. And so
Mhm.
we adjusted on the fly, but I also knew the threshold of not adjusting by, basically is just general weight and what I knew that he couldn't cut his water to like a fourth a liter an hour, but he could maybe cut it to half a liter an hour,
Mhm.
for a period of time. So that's where I was trying to pay attention to the most and got a little bit worried, towards
I was gonna say you did you had your moment. He's like, "You didn't eat." I'm like, "Just let him settle in." Like
the,
he Max knows his body well, and
yeah,
Billy knows that about Max. But,
yeah. So
when you go in with a plan, it's
there are circumstances where people just go into these races and if they're not checking that with your runner, that they're not eating, and they find that
Mhm.
out fast and then it goes south. I think Max really trained this part of him where it was probably like the easiest to keep track of. Um, and the only worry I think we had was, towards the end, climbing up into the Whitney portal, I was kind of like, man, I just hope he has enough carbs. Like I was like so like wanting to just like feed him carbs up that climb because I wanted him to know. I know that he knew what he wanted to run that climb, and so that was the only part where I think where I got kind of concerned. But it's important to have those things dialed, and I think definitely as trail running professionalizes, when I've first started going out to Western states and watching the crews there and watching people how fast they move through Forest Hill and the crews there, it's like, I think there's a lot of optimization within crewing and pacing that's where like the times are going to get so fast, I think,
Yeah.
especially when you look at like Jim Walmsley, like he's notably spends too much time in aids. Like, how does that cut down? And
Mhm.
across the sport, there's so much optimization and room for like perfection. I always kind of nerd out. I'm like, I think crews will be professionalized to a degree in this
Yeah.
sport, like truly.
Professional crew, yeah.
Yeah.
there is something to say though, like Jim Walmsley is winning races, right? So maybe that stop at the aid station is like what he needs.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know
Well,
what
it's
I
very
mean? Like maybe
European.
his crew knows that like they just account 45 minutes of stoppage time into his
Mhm.
race, knowing here's what you have for your crewing. But yeah, I get it. Like it definitely makes a difference if your crew is organized and ready and like it's not,
Mhm.
you know, you not a huge stop, but there was actually a stressful point when Max stopped to change his shoes, and we couldn't find the shoes, and it was like and
Yeah.
I'm chaos, and we're like, "Where the are the shoes?" And he's worried because in his mind, he's like, "If I stop, this is time added to the clock," and we had gone into this knowing, like, he needs to keep moving,
We had
and that was like he was, like, so pissed off that the shoes weren't there and the Band-Aid wasn't the right size, and everything is moving so quickly. I mean, given he was maybe there for 90 seconds, but,
yeah.
you know, it's stressful. It's so
Yeah.
stressful.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you. What were some of, like, the top stressful moments? So, one of them was
That
changing shoes and you couldn't find it. I think it is important to note that because you stop so much and you're constantly rummaging through stuff, how quickly the car can become chaos, especially when
well,
you have
the shoes
cameramen
that
in
he
there.
wanted weren't in the car. The shoes that he wanted were in the other car that we weren't using.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I mean, obviously there were other ones, but I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay,
The
oops."
biggest thing I think for crewing and people crewing is like I think people you can like organize the things that you need, but the big one that I think is always helpful is like what's the discharge organization? Where do the clothes go? Where do like the discharge
The trash. Yeah.
because
Mhm.
that's what when you have 4 people in a van or a truck or whatever and all of this gear, that's what muddies everything up. And
Totally.
that would probably be like the biggest thing in terms of organization of like because you're constantly thrashing through everything. So if you don't put it back, you're compounding time off the next stop, that you're going on. So that's probably like the biggest.
Especially at Badwater, there's no like,
Yeah,
everything's in your
you have to
car.
keep your
So you just
trash.
have to have a trash
Mhm.
bag, you have to have a bag for clothes. I mean, luckily he didn't change, but it's
Mhm.
just yeah, it's a lot.
Okay, so the shoes, what were a couple other things that were stressful with him?
The stomach. I think
In the
early
beginning, yeah.
I think the early pounding the gut, pounding the new the water and electrolytes, the osmosis or whatever that's going on in your stomach, it's a lot, especially with the heat. So he had early issues, but I think that was almost like a settling part of it. And that was like, oh, is this going to like be one of these things that takes him out, or is this like a
Mhm.
settling period? So that was a hold your breath moment. Um,
Totally.
and I think it was just the shoes and he taped his feet, but every thing else, I mean, it's crazy to look at the splits afterwards that he just kept it completely consistent. I didn't really feel, I don't know, Mackenzie, like I just had full confidence in him like the entire time.
Yeah,
Those 3
yeah.
things.
I think so too. I will say Carmen gave him a run for his
Yeah, I mean,
money there at the end.
Yeah, what was
I
that
mean,
like? Were they that you
dude,
guys were
she
saying
is
they were constantly back and forth?
unbelievable.
Yeah?
She's
yeah,
unbelievable. I mean,
she
we both were still like, "He's going to win." Like, we really had that mindset, but, I mean, him coming up Whitney Portal, she was not that far behind him, and I was like, "Hey, she's, like, less than a quarter mile back," which on mountain turns is really a big distance, but I was like,
That's
that was that was
5
a
minute
moment of,
could be 5,
like
6 minutes, yeah.
I
right,
think
I was like, "Okay, we're close."
what's so
Mhm.
impressive about her is I don't think she was ever in less than 4th or 5th place, like, the entire race, like,
Overall.
overall. Like, I think
Yeah,
she
that's
held,
Yeah.
amazing.
where even, Max on the pacing side, it's like, "Hey, hang back and save it." I think she was like I mean, that and I know Max throws that up for her, it's like
Mhm.
it's really crazy that I think she held kind of that 3rd, 4th, she was just, like, going back and forth those positions the entire time,
I was,
so
like, cheering her on. I was like,
yeah.
"I go
When
Carmen," every time she ran by.
she ran by with like so much power and consistency every
Yeah.
time. The breathing, the steps, like it was just like a metronome. Like she's just clicking it off,
It's
and I was
amazing.
just like, "Holy sh! What
Yeah.
is
He was the same way though. Max really didn't ever have a moment where I was like concerned of his ability or energy. It was more of just like, okay, we need to inch towards the front runners now, and like when does he speed up and when do we go for that? And no, we both know that he's strong on climbs, and knew that that would be kind of the point of no return for him once he got to the bottom of the mountain. But um yeah, they both were so consistent that it was like, this is quite a race to be witnessing of the yo-yo back and forth and just how strong they are.
And I think the only other part I think that is nerve-wracking, Sally, was you're as a crew out there, you are flying blind because it's the manual updated tracker. So
Mhm.
we were kind of waiting from outside of like, hey, the tracker got updated. He's actually made X amount of time on the leader because you have no idea.
It's so
So
true.
there was
Someone at the aid station, like, came up to the car and she's like, "He's only 11 minutes
yeah,
behind
like
first place." And I was like, "Thank God." And I texted his coach. I was like, "Here's who's where," because it wouldn't update for another hour. So it
yeah.
was nice
Yeah.
that we were, like, able to do that.
So it's that was like really challenging because I don't think a lot like there was the yo-yoing between Carmen and Max, but outside of that, there wasn't really anyone else around for most of the race. Once he started making his way to the front, sure, there'd be like an hour of gaining, but you don't really know where you're at in the race the entire time.
Yeah, but he also didn't want to know. So, like,
Yeah,
we knew, and I had to pick the right time to be like, "Here's what's going on." And it wasn't until we were, like, hitting Lone Pine when
Oh,
I kinda
wow.
made the choice to be like, "Hey, you're this far from first place. You can kick it into gear now, but you still have a climb. Like, you make your decision, but, like, this is kind of where you're at and, like, how close you are to that win and finish and, like, what's going on." It was a very similar, like, feeling and intuition and sight of him that I had at Moab when I had told him to run by himself. It was like it kind of like it was like the same moment for me that I felt personally, and it was like, "Okay, this is like here it comes." And it was like Billy and I just watch him come up on first place, like, hitting each other like this. I'm trying not to be disrespectful to who's in first place, but I'm like, "This is crazy." I feel like I'm on drugs watching this. Like, this is so insane to see happen, and you just see him overtaken, and it was like that same feeling of, like, waking up to the Moab tracker of, like, "Oh, he's in first place now." Like, this is insane. Like, he did the unthinkable.
That is amazing. It
Wild.
was it was on Mount Whitney Portal Road that he overtook
Yeah, I
first.
have the video. I'll send it to
Yeah,
you.
which is
It's
which I
insane.
yeah, I need to see that because, you know, Mount Whitney Portal is such a hard way to finish Badwater. I mean,
Yeah, it's
you've just been
crazy.
decimated, absolutely pulverized in the heat for the last 123 miles, and now you are climbing 5,000 feet into thin air, into altitude. It is such a hard way to finish. Most people are hiking that, hike maybe if they're
I looked at
strong,
Billy and I was like,
hike
"Should
jog.
we?"
I'm like,
I was like, "Should we tell him he can, like, walk for a second? Like, this is
yeah,
insane." And he was like,
no, it's
"No, he's winning." Like, "No, he's not
push.
walking."
Push, but that's hard for the first place person too. You've been leading for so long. Every runner dreams of getting there. You dream of
Right.
like, I just want to get to that portal road. I know it's going to be like a power hike. It's going to be slow for everybody, but to be in first place so long and to be passed right there, the last 10 miles, is, I don't know, 10,
That
12
just goes
miles of
to
the
show
race.
how important the pacing is and how important pacing is going to be, like Billy touched on earlier. Like, that's the future of, like, the logistics that's gonna go into these really long distance races and people having coaches and coaches being able to pace someone out. Like, if first place would have just kept a decent pace the whole time, who you know,
Mhm.
it's such an interesting way of ending that race, of him being able to catch up because it was like the tortoise and the hare.
Totally. And that climb for some people can take 4 hours, it can take 8 hours. I mean, it's
Yeah.
wild how
Yeah, it's a pretty devastating, like,
it's
when
devastating.
Finish.
you drive a up there, but, like, you're driving the car, and then when you actually get off, and, like, are on the road, and, I don't imagine a lot of people, like, are walking on that road, right? It's like, you really understand how terrible it would be to I mean, it's like a steep grade. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
it
yeah.
it's not something that you really wanna walk up,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
it's
No,
crazy,
100%.
especially
I
to end
think
the race.
yeah, and I think that's what makes it so, crossing that finish line is so much joy.
Yeah,
But if you're pushing really hard, it's almost it's so exhausting to cross the finish line and have
right.
anything left. So, what are some of the things like for you guys now that you've done Badwater 135 as crew, you've crewed the fastest person of all time to do that race. What are some things now looking back that maybe you had misconceptions of, or maybe things that you're like, oh yeah, this is exactly how it would be, and maybe even some advice for anyone that is planning on crewing it.
The biggest for me was the rules to me were really overwhelming, but like I said, it makes total sense why they're there and how important it is to keep people safe, and that's how they have been able to keep people safe, being around for so many years. I understand why it's not live streamed and why there's not trackers. Like, this is a legacy race. It's been around a long time. And I think social media and media in general has pushed people to want to view and be a part of it. But this sport doesn't have that much money, that many spectators to
Mhm.
where it's evolved to that yet. And I think Badwater it's incredible, and it really is so hard. It's hard for the crew, it's hard for the runners, but I totally get why it's so protected and so respected and why the rules are the way that they are. I remember going into it like, "This is nuts." Like, why? Like, this is so crazy, but I completely, understand it and respect it, and it was really cool to be a part of that race, and I don't ever wanna go back. I think I'm good. I don't think, like,
You're
I'm
one and
good.
done. Yeah,
Yeah,
one and done.
you're
Mackenzie,
nuts,
you
Sally.
I know for how many times you've
You're
been out there.
nuts.
Mackenzie texted me after the race. I think you may have already been home or you were on your way. You guys were already driving home. And you said that race is so crazy, so long, da da da. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, you were out there for under 21 hours. Imagine the people that are out there for 40.
Yeah,
I
41,
know.
42 hour you like yeah, like having to do it double time. Um, but I it stressful race, really stressful for you
It is,
guys
it's
because you
well,
got
it's
0
he's moving
rest.
so f the thing is, even if I was out there for longer, I maybe would've been able to sleep, like, because he's moving so
Yeah.
fast, we didn't get a break, like, it
Yeah.
was mentally and physically, like, oh my gosh, like, I compared it to, like, being, like, in a room and trying to sleep, and then right when you fall asleep, someone plays music, and then you do
Yeah.
it again, and then someone play like, it was like, I want to be there, and I enjoyed every moment of it, I'm so happy that I get to be a part of it, but that was so gnarly.
Mhm.
It was crazy. It was craziness. The
Billy, what
sheer
about
amount of
you?
times that we stopped is
yeah.
absurd.
I mean, it's almost like, you know, it's funny when thinking about that question, it's, when we've been either pacing or crewing Max, it's like, there's always the the top 10, and then I always ask myself, I'm like, "Man, that would be way harder if I had to do that twice," and a
Yeah.
lot of and I think about, "Oh, wow, a lot of people are actually doing this twice." So, I think the most valuable thing from a person who is getting involved is, like, understanding that you have to go in with 0 expectation, but
Yeah.
fully be prepared to give yourself uh totally to the thing that's happening right in front of you. And that's going to give you back an experience that maybe you didn't think that you were going to have at all. And I think, I mean, it might be a little bit of a heady idea, but you know, it's never bad to like try something new where, hey, maybe I didn't sleep this night, but it brought me this. It crewing these things and not running them and not really wanting to care run them, it gives such a different perspective on your life of like how to approach being of service without any sort of expectation from it. And
Mhm.
through that, getting your own crazy interpersonal experience. There's so many times where we're in these environments that you're like taking a second to look around and being like, how many people are gonna do this? And it's like such a small part of like the macro that you feel so much gratitude about being out there, like of just
Yep.
and what really settles me in terms of like, oh man, this is like a hard thing to do, but it's also like it pushes me and I love truly love doing it. The organization part, it's just you can organize as much as you want and you have to go in with the expectation of nothing. And you have to go in and understand like the last thing you want to do is react in any sort of one way or another. And if you can find a way within yourself to mitigate the reaction, I think you're going to have good success crewing a runner who's trying to get from point A to point B,
Right.
um, without getting too frantic because there's so many obstacles. I mean, I think this race was even really easy because I mean it's hard to watch even from my end, like Cocodona won to leave someone after 200 and whatever 30 miles, leave Mackenzie and Max in a van where I don't really know what's going on, take four other of our team members, go to a hotel, get a call from Mackenzie and being like, hey, we're in the emergency room, and it's like those things like happen in this. And that experience, it nullifies a little bit of this race, but like it truly this sport is so crazy that it's so experience driven. So I understand why people want to gatekeep or there's a certain sacred element to it that only the true experience, like you have to truly experience to understand and make gains of that. But it's a beautiful experience.
Mhm. I love that. Yeah. Well,
Also,
you got
too, you're so present when you're
Yeah.
crewing a race like that. Like, when that clock starts, your entire like, the outside world beside the goal that we all have in mind does not exist.
No.
Mhm.
We are here, we are in our bubble, we are all there for the same purpose, and it's like, that's I think a lot of what brought us all closer together, like we are family, are because of, it's these experiences that we go through that it really is, as corny as it sounds, as a spiritual experience, like, we're all supporting this person who is, like, running their heart out and, like, to better themselves, to prove themselves, whatever their reason is. And we're all on this team and we are so present and so intertwined in this experience that we're having. And it's a really cool thing. It's very tribal. That's what human beings are. We're tribal beings. We're meant to work together. So it's really cool that we get to do this and see so many beautiful places, and it's awesome. It's really cool.
I like what you were saying about, you know, just being prepared to not have, any specific expectations, but I also wanna note the fact that because both of you guys were so prepared, because you did have a plan and you were very on top of Max's needs, like, it's go in with that plan, but be
Yeah.
prepared for it to fall apart. Be prepared to
Exactly.
be flexible. Be
Yeah.
prepared to be like fly by the seat of your pants, because so much of ultra running, it is problem solving.
Yeah.
I even like to say there's no problems in ultra running. It's just situations that need solutions.
Yeah.
And I think that it's so clear that you guys were so aware of his goals. And Billy, you knew, like, in a very scientific way, right down to what he needed as far as nutrition went, every hour what it is that he needed. That, I mean, that contributed to just taking time, like being able to give time back to him.
Yeah.
Like you
One,
didn't have
Billy's
to
able to
do.
pivot too.
Mhm.
Billy
Yeah.
was able to pivot when Max needed to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, being an athlete helps with that, I think. Like,
Yeah, big
Billy knows
time.
what it's like to run. I know what it's like to run. And when you train yourself and you know what it's like to have to, okay, this might not be my race, but here's what I can accomplish and here's what I can do. When you have the ability to be flexible in life and in sport and all of those things, that's what will get you into a crewing situation. If you have someone who's going to panic and chaos and won't be able to pivot and won't be able to say this needs to change or that needs to change and can't think on demand, you shouldn't have them on your crew.
Yeah. And I've
I mean,
witnessed those situations.
the prep bar
Yeah.
none, the prep bar none has to be there. It's just like it's one of those things where it's, I even think about I feel like when we were at Moab, we had so much food and like your actual gills of anything this kid could ever want and need for his first 250-mile thing. But it was this quesadilla that we got over at the popped out thing that you would think it's like, dude, we have like a steak, like we got the ribs and steak and burger. He's like, but I want the quesadilla. It's like that's the
Yeah.
planning, but the flex that you need to make that work and like be well aware that that kind of thing is going to happen.
The hash brown for Sally.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what we did at Badwater. That was the only thing I could eat. It was
Right.
right before I
It's
did the
good to
climb.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a really long time without eating. All right. I'm thinking of questions that people would ask you. So I'm gonna, we can make these ones like short and quick.
Quick.
But
Okay.
what and either of you guys could answer here, but what were like three things you thought you were, or it doesn't mean three things, but what are some things that you thought that you would absolutely use that you did not use? And it was gear, nutrition, anything, or maybe that you were
Ooh.
surprised that you didn't use very much of, or were you that dialed in that there was actually, you used everything?
We kinda used everything.
That's
Like,
amazing.
if anything, it was just, like, maybe extra, like, snacks that we had in the
Yeah,
car, but,
I
like,
think
Okay.
food, I don't want to undersell the
the
grab all
prepping.
high. Like I think it goes back to like the rate. Like we weren't out there the entirety of most people, so it
Mm-hmm.
was like we probably didn't need so much like food and all of this stuff. Like
Ice.
it
Yeah.
was, so
Mm-hmm.
that and then like yeah, I mean that's probably the biggest one for sure on this.
Okay. How many crew meetings did you guys have that were specific to Badwater leading up to the race? Like, did you
Like,
have one
1 or
every
2.
day? Okay. Really?
We met once before and kinda, like, went over everything.
But before you went out there, you met once.
But Max and Billy went over a lot of the fueling and all of that
Yeah, because
prior.
we were going to the sauna and we run a couple times together each week and then we'll go in sauna together and do all of that. So it's you've got to make the runway. Like the runway it's not I wouldn't suggest like the week or month before, but if you get asked like just start kind of fielding the questions and understanding and
Mhm.
knowing how the person's training because then it's unlike any other race. So understanding the training that's needed to go into it. And honestly, Badwater does do an excellent job of like they give you a heat training protocol.
Communication, yeah.
I didn't realize that you needed like I think it's like 21 days or something for your body to completely heat acclimate. I don't know if that's backed by science or not, but it's like, oh, that's really helpful because I feel like everybody, yeah, I've been using the sauna. I don't know how much, but it's,
Yeah, most information came from Badwater
yeah,
HQ. It wasn't necessarily amongst the 3 of us. Like, the amount of emails I have in my inbox from them is like, so it's just like, okay, I'm like, feel like I'm like, this is so overwhelming, but It was really more important for Billy and I to know what was going on because Max just has to run. So it was really more of like where our car door opens and how many of us are allowed to cross the street and wearing your vest 24 hours. Like
Mhm.
that really needed to be nailed in. And I got so overwhelmed. I was like, we all need to sit down and go over this one more time because I feel like I've been told so many things. And yeah,
Mhm.
we
That's really
clearly
good.
figured it out. But
Yeah, and that does make some of these questions unique only to Badwater,
Yeah.
right.
that you have to be on top of the emails. You get a full-blown magazine with
Yeah.
the rules and
Yeah.
the maps on, the day before at check-in, that you need to keep that in your car to keep on checking. There's
Which,
security
like,
that drives up and down the race
thank God there
course.
was someone we went to one of the ice stops and, like, there's a portion of the race where you can only stop on
Mhm.
certain shoulders because it's the
Yeah,
turn going up
Father
Darwin.
Crowley, yeah.
Yeah, Father Crowley, and the lady was like, "Okay, open your magazine to this page, and here's all the things," and I'm like, "Okay, Billy, open this up, and here's
Yeah.
like exactly what mile we're at to be able to stop." So luckily, they're very organized and they do set you up for success. You just have to pay attention.
Yeah.
Mhm, 100%. Did you guys have any type of heat exhaustion yourselves? Or did you guys
Not
feel like
really,
The
no?
not
the
really.
car was so nice. I mean, it's just the sleep deprivation is,
Yeah.
I mean,
That's the
is
worst part.
it's yeah, I think, towards the nitty-gritty, it's just like the managing the caffeine with heat exhaust. I mean, you kinda get spun out, but find people that
Yeah.
have don't mind
Well, you
that.
have to like you're awake all day. You go into
Yeah.
the race at 10 p.m. and then you're awake all the next day. So
Oh,
we're
yeah.
technically awake for 2 days,
Oh,
you
no, no,
know?
no. Let's also make note that you first drive like 3.5, 4 hours to get to the start line, which starts at night, and that so
Yeah.
you're just completely exhausted. Even arriving to the start, you're already like so tired from
Yeah.
driving all afternoon in the heat, and now you know you're gonna miss your that night's sleep, and the race
Right.
now has started. So I agree with you. It can be very, very exhausting. What did you guys do? So after he finished, did you guys go right back to the hotel and you sleep, or did you guys just pack up your stuff and drive back to Orange County?
Get
McDonald's. McDonald's. Yeah, we were
You drove down
hungry.
the mountain and you went to McDonald's. But did you guys
Straight to McDonald's.
did you run through the finish line with him?
No.
No. I I have mixed feelings about that, and I know that Badwater, it's like tradition, but
Yeah.
I think Billy feels similarly to me, like, it's Max's race. I know that we're a big part of it, but that's his moment and what he works really hard for. So, he can see us at I didn't run the race. Like, that's for him to kinda go through it. If he ever asked us and wanted us there, we would, of course, do it, but I'm kind of just that's him. That's
Yeah.
his moment to shine.
Get the shot. Get the
Yeah,
shot.
like,
All
it's
the
not
sponsors
yeah,
want the
that's not
shot.
I didn't
No,
run
that
the race.
too.
Yeah, I didn't yeah, no.
He knows what it means for us to be there, and it's like, I mean, the guy was like, I mean, he's been at all of my races, whether it's Ventura, CIM, like Mackenzie too. So it's just like, I mean, I'm there for these two, and it's just such an easy thing, and I think it's one of those things when you get older, right? Your circle gets smaller, and it's really important to find people to hold you accountable and then also show up for. So it's not, even though we're there, it's like this meant a lot to Max. I think Max is in an interesting position, in the public and within social media and all of these things that, he's the one who crosses that finish line and truly is the one that crosses that finish line. And that's what I wanted to see anyway. Like
Mhm.
I don't want to be beside him. I want to watch him come through because like it was I know it was such a big deal for him. It just as
They
like,
thought we were nuts. They thought we
yeah,
were nuts. They're like, "You're not gonna run with him?" I said, "I'll be right over here." And she's like, "Well, don't let anyone step in front of you." I said, "I'm the first person to push someone out of the way if I want them out of my way. Like, Max needs to cross the finish line, and we'll deal with the rest later." So,
but
You
yeah, I
guys
mean,
yeah.
you guys are amazing.
it's a good accomplishment. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
I
he's worked hard to get to where he is, and it's
mm,
not about us. We're his team and his support system, and sure, I'm gonna acknowledge that we do stuff for him, but that's his accomplishment.
yeah. That's a very mature and selfless way, to approach that, and it's really cool that you guys like I said, I've watched you guys, all 3 of you are constantly at each other's events, constantly supporting, pushing each other out, and you know each other all so well that I think the way that he finished, I mean, that's really admirable of you guys. So, well
Yeah.
done. Well done, Billy and Mackenzie. I mean, it's so exciting. I think you guys are a part of history. I don't know
Crazy.
when someone's gonna break that time, but um I think what I'm getting from hearing this conversation, one is you guys were so and have been for a while because you guys have been crewing them for a while at some really, really hard races. So I feel like one, you know Max. Two, you have the experience and you've actually experienced every high and low with him in
Yeah.
every environment. So I
Yeah.
think for our listeners, that part's really important too. It's like this wasn't Max's first race. Like you guys have been in the mountains with him. You've been in every type of weather. You've seen him with, really bad blisters and you've seen him eating really well or needing to sleep, throwing up. Like you've been with him in every single aspect that I think also that plays into the runner. Like I know personally, like when there's people I really know on my crew, like I'm way more calm
Yeah.
and I can really
Absolutely.
engage. I can engage way better with racing and I
It's
tend to
someone
get
you
like that.
trust. It's someone you
Yes.
trust
Or
to
caring so
support
much
you.
about like, is the crew okay? Are you
Yeah.
guys getting along? Like, am I communicating okay? Like, you guys know I didn't mean
R
that, right? Like, it's just,
right.
but he doesn't have to do any of that. Like, he's able to trust you, depend on you. And I think that was a key part in how fast he was able to run because you gave time back to him. There wasn't second guessing. There wasn't like, wait, hold up, let me stand here for 60 seconds while we discuss what I actually need or how this is going to work. It sounds like you guys just executed pretty much like a dream crew situation.
Well, and if we messed up, we had 2 miles to get it back in order. So
Exactly.
it's a unique race in that way, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
But
And
knowing the
yeah.
runner, I mean, I think at bare minimum, it's like for anyone going into these races, right? One, it's expensive. It's an expensive
Oh
thing to
my
do
gosh.
today, and
Badwater is very
so
yeah.
like you don't have like, I mean, if you're looking for a crew, I would almost start of like, hey, who are you going on family vacations with? It's like, and like,
That's so
and then go like,
true.
hey, can they run? Because I feel like that's gonna, you're gonna see like the best and worst of these people, and so you gotta that's
Also, too,
oh
your crew needs to learn how to separate their emotions from
yeah,
the race when you are there.
Yes.
How we react to each other when Max is not there and release and have our conversations is one thing, but when your runner is at an aid station, you all need to know how to keep your emotions
yeah.
at bay
Mm.
to the best of your abilities. You can't have people like crying and like going all about. So,
Oh, yeah. I remember one year I was at AC 100. I was crewing for one of my friends, and then my other friend was racing too, but he had people on his crew crying, and I was
yeah,
like, "Oh my" like, I wanted to just be like, "I'll take
they're
over."
stressed out enough. I'll
Yeah,
cry
like,
later.
there's no crying.
No.
Crews should not be, like, crying and throwing
He went to the
fits, like
hospital and he's like, "I gotta go to the
Really
hospital." I
sad.
was like,
Really
"Okay, to the
sad.
hospital." Like, I gotta
That's different. That's a
I
little
know, but still, but even
this
then,
was like
like,
in an
you just
aid
have
station complaining, crying.
you have to thrive and you have to be able to thrive and control yourself amidst chaos. Like,
Yeah.
those races are chaotic,
Yeah, we need
whether you're fast or slow.
emotional strength, emotional security, and stability,
Yes.
especially when the
Start
runner
with
starts
that.
to get tired, yeah. But the
Start with
more
that.
tired your runner gets, the more that they actually depend on that,
Right.
because they just become raw and vulnerable, and, yeah, they might say stuff that you don't like and get curt and short and upset, and if you have the ability to see the situation for what it is and realize, like, "Okay, they don't mean that at me." they care so much
Yeah.
about what they're doing, or they're so uncomfortable or in a lot of pain,
Right.
and they're just kind of like having a reaction. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's why it's so important that your runner knows you,
Mhm.
or that the runner knows the crew,
Mhm.
really well. So yeah, you guys are amazing. What's next for both of you? Billy, what's next for you?
Just Chicago Marathon. So I know
It's coming
Max is
up.
running Kodiak, but I think it's like the same day. So
Ah.
waiting for Chicago and just training and that's pretty much it. And then on to Boston.
Very
So
exciting.
sick.
And for
Max is
you?
yeah, we're going on a honeymoon and then UTMB and then into our honeymoon. Wouldn't be our honeymoon if there wasn't some running
Running.
involved.
I'll see
And
you
then
there. We
yeah,
can go grab a
yeah,
coffee.
and then Kodiak, there'll be an all-girls crew, which is really nice. His sister's gonna be with us for, like, the first time ever, so
Oh,
that's
that's
really
so
fun.
cool.
Kodiak, and then I'm running the Nike After Dark Tour in the end of October, a
Oh,
half
amazing.
marathon, and then who knows after that.
Yeah. Well, it's been really exciting, I think, for all of us, following along with what it is that you guys are doing. I think what's really cool about the both of you is that you have so many other things going on in your life that are connected with running, but it's not the exact same as what Max is doing, which I see more commonly with crews and like really successful athletes is like
Right.
they're surrounded by people that are doing exactly what they're doing all the time. And I think that's another reason why I wanted you guys on, because I think at the end of the day, success and support doesn't mean that you surround yourself with people that it doesn't mean that they have to be as obsessed in doing exactly what you're doing. What we
No.
do need is just support and to know that people believe in us and they love us and they're going to be there for us. And I
Right.
think that that's exactly who both of you are.
When we're both very much in our own lanes. Billy's
Mhm.
in his lane and focusing on his stuff, and I'm the same way, and that's important in any relationship, whether it's friends or family. You can't be completely intertwined, it explodes. So,
Mhm.
it's nice that we all have, like, a very strong sense of self and just are motivated in other ways outside of Max's running.
Yeah.
It's important to, running is one of these things that, it's getting so popular. It's such a popular rise right now that it's
Mhm.
important to understand and know your why behind the things that you're doing in life, right? And so I think like when you boil it down to there, you probably get three really different answers, and those things end up kind of coming together. But it's always nice to sit back and go and remember, like, hey, why are you specifically doing this? And it's great to be around people who want to be a part of that ride, even if it's means, it's not the same thing as and that's what defines friendship, I think, especially as you get older and things like that. And so if you don't, I'm just grateful to find those things in my life, whether it's and they just happen to be like also my best friends and then also my little brother, and it's like all four of us are doing completely different things in the same vertical, you know?
Totally.
My brother doesn't want to ever, he doesn't care about racing, but he's running 60, 70 miles a week right now, and it's just his
Wow.
thing. So it's like,
Yeah.
and then Mackenzie's got like her own platform, and then Max is doing it's incredible, I would say, to like see Max and Mackenzie where it's like, Max has grown this crazy platform. But I always say, like, and I think I even said this when I married them too, it's like Mackenzie would be like, I always think about like if Max never met Mackenzie, like Mackenzie would have all of this crazy like platforming of her own because of the person that she is. And it's so cool to see like everybody kind of collide under this like weird running thing, it's very special place.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that at the beginning of the podcast that you're the officiant
Yeah,
that married Max and Mackenzie.
It's Reverend Billy
Rev
Jolliffe.
Reverend Billy.
Forget about that. I do sign off. I have changed my signature. So in the state of California, I'm doing everything. I'm a law-abiding citizen, and it's Reverend
Reverend Billy Garner. You heard it
or
here.
Father, whatever.
Or
Father
Garner.
Garner.
And for a cool $5,000, you can hire him to marry you guys
Yeah,
too.
sure. We'll do that.
It's
You
like
get
under like the United
info,
Rainbow
yeah.
Church or something. I don't even know what. It's so
Yeah.
funny.
I'll post it on my feed. We'll do brand partnerships that way.
I love it. Hey, where can people follow you and continue to follow your stories, what you guys are up to?
Instagram,
Mackenzie?
TikTok.
Yeah,
I
Instagram and
changed my
TikTok.
handle. It's so
Yeah.
crazy.
I know.
Billy's 4 Milli Billy.
Yeah, 4 million
I'm
Billy.
gonna speak for him. He has been so consistent on TikTok and has really like taken his lane of like posting every single day and his consistency and showing his passion and doing a lot for the community. So
Yeah.
we love TikTok. Max is not on TikTok, but that's we thrive over there. So they're an Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram and TikTok.
All right. Well, we will put your links in the show notes. So friends, for entertainment, sometimes really
Yeah.
good education, like you're gonna learn a lot.
Yeah, if you ever
I
want
follow
a
both you
behind the
guys.
scenes during these
Behind the
races,
scenes.
we were
Yeah.
sharing a lot.
Yeah, no, both of you are really fun to follow. Love following both of you guys on social media. I'm very grateful. I think I had said this to you guys earlier, and to our listeners. We all live very close to each other, but we're doing this virtually, which is so sad.
So funny.
I know, but both of my kids are moving out. It is chaos in my
It's
house right
crazy.
now. So Mackenzie moves out tomorrow. Isaiah moves out a couple days later. So I told both Billy and Mackenzie, I was like, okay, this is the best way to do it because I can go into my like corner of the house podcast
Right.
and then go back into my chaos. But anyway, next time we will need to do this in person. Billy, we'll need to bring you back on the show.
Yeah, I
We'd
would love to.
love
That'll
to
Yeah.
learn your story. But I think right now, to everyone that is still running, you are an hour 40 minutes into your running. For those of you just still chilling on the couch, or maybe you're driving home from work, I want to say thank you so much for being here. Know that we support you, we love you, and we want to encourage you to keep choosing strong in all you do.